And welcome back. Now, it's exactly 1 year since I hosted the then Water Cabinet Secretary, Eugene Wamalwa, on the big question on the drought crisis then. It's now February 2018, and again host the Cabinet Secretary. This time round, of course, Devolution Cabinet Secretary, Eugene Wamalwa. Same script, different docket, the ugly drought cycle, once again being our topic of discussion. Waziri, thank you so much for making time for us tonight. How does that sound to you? We are back discussing this, and again talking about reacting to interventions to drought-stricken areas.
Unfortunately, the situation has not changed, Hussein, and February last year is when His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta declared drought a national disaster. And the drought has persisted. We had expected the long rains and the short rains to come and improve on the situation. This hasn't happened. The drought persists, and as we speak, we have about 3.4 million Kenyans who are affected. So the action we started in 2016, beginning with the last quarter, September to December, we allocated 5.4 billion to try and bring relief to Kenyans who are affected. After that, beginning January, going into April, June, up to June, we allocated another 7.4 billion, again, to ensure there is enough food, there's enough water, and feeding for livestock also. Eventually, towards the end of the year, again, we gave about 4.2 billion. Up to now, the government has used about 17 billion to ensure that no Kenyan loses their lives. Of course, we lost a lot of livestock, but we put in place a livestock off-taking program with the Minister of Agriculture. We allocated water tracking funding through my Ministry of Water. We also gave money for food through devolution, where my colleague Kiunjuri was holding the portfolio then, that I'm holding now.
Yeah.
And as we speak, the year began with the rains again not performing. I've just come from Tana River County and of saying the situation is not good. But we have been able to give food. We started in Bura in the morning. We went to Hola. We went to Garsen. We went to Wayu. And I've just finished the mission in a place called Madingo.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to paint the picture for Kenyans again, 6 counties so far have run out of food. That is Garissa, Wajir, Isiolo, Tana River, Kajiado, and Kilifi counties. Now, alarm bells are also ringing in Mandera, Marsabit, Kitui, and Taita Taveta counties. The government says it will spend, this time now, that is 3.8 billion shillings between now and April to reach about 3 million Kenyans facing starvation. While the Kenya Red Cross you saw last week has launched a 1 billion shilling appeal. Waziri, before we look at these figures, because you're talking about 17 billion already used, and this is why some Kenyans really wonder if we are going to be reacting to this problem of drought. This is a huge figure, 17 billion shillings. What else could it have done if these things were planned adequately? But first, what exactly will the 3.8 billion shillings be used for this time round?
This time round, we are using 2.5 billion to ensure that we have enough food taken to counties that are affected. Part of this money will also be used towards cash transfers to the vulnerable communities that will be able to, once they have money in their pockets, be able to get food in the areas. Apart from that, we have about 300 million that will go towards water tracking. And today I was in Wayu. There's a serious water problem there. Tana River, apart from shortage of food and water, we have had incidences of cholera. And we must start water tracking so that we ensure there is enough water, clean, safe drinking water, even as we take food in these areas. So these are some of the areas we'll be looking at. 600 million will be going towards livestock offtake, so that we put money in the pockets of pastoralists and take the animals, so that we could also use that meat as we give the rice and the maize and the beans as part of the feeding program. Okay. So these are some of the issues that we are doing, and as we speak, we will be having a meeting this Thursday, bringing together all the players, the Ministry of Devolution, Agriculture, Health, Education, water, so that we roll out the programs again with the 3.8 billion.
There was a national disaster last year, January, February, thereabout. But towards the end of the year, or mid that year, there was some rainfall.
Correct.
There was a bit of relief, isn't it?
Yes.
Is there anything tangible that happened in the intervention between last year and now that has mitigated the effect of these droughts? And I would want to look at what you said to me then. Of course, then you're Water Cabinet Secretary. Today you're Devolution Cabinet Secretary. Yours is more of coordination in terms of special programs. But this is what you said then, if we can just take a listen.
Climate change is real. I know there are people who still believe that it is a hoax. But the rain patterns are changing. The water levels are dropping. As the water decreases, our population is increasing. So we must come up with strategies to ensure that the scarce water resource that we have is properly stored. Now we're talking of this being the terrible new normal. Droughts are going to be here with us as we move forward. So we must look at ways of conserving the little water resource that we have.
So this was 17th January last year. Today we are on the 27th of February 2018. I mean, what would you say have been done since then? This is 1 year ago when you're promising strategies. You actually termed it as a terrible new normal.
Correct.
Where the question is, where are the strategies you have come up with since then? Because it's 1 year later. We are back where we are again, reacting, looking for money for intervention.
Yes. Soon I can tell you the future lies in water harvesting and storage. We have since passed the law, the Water Act 2016, which was passed last year, that will now create the Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. This will be an authority that will be mandated to ensure that we harvest and we store our water. What we receive in terms of rain, when the rain comes, we are talking of billions of cubic meters of water that run off to the ocean. If we are able to harvest just a third of that, we will stop calling our country a water insecure country.
So how
and
much?
I can tell you this is where our focus has been. And we are talking about almost 60 new dams that we are constructing across the country. There are those that we have commissioned, that we started with His Excellency the President and the Deputy President. We went to West Pokot. Sioi Dam is under construction as we speak in Pokot. When you go to Nakuru, Itari Dam is under construction as we speak. Recently, we were in Kirinyaga. We launched Thiba Dam. Now, the impact of Thiba Dam would be that last week I was in Mombasa receiving rice from China. It's a donation from the Chinese government to help us with this situation. But Kenya has the potential of producing enough rice. Thiba Dam will double the rice production in Mwea. What are we getting from Mwea now? About 80,000 metric tons of rice. With Thiba Dam, we'll be able to get 160,000 metric tons. That is already underway. Construction is going on. When you go to Busia County, we are talking of the old Bunyala irrigation scheme. We are launching the Lower Nzoia irrigation scheme. What we have done, Hussein, you'll be shocked. Since independence, over 50 years, we're only doing 2,000 acres in the old Bunyala irrigation scheme. As we speak, as we launch this new project with the World Bank, you're talking of 10 billion, we will be able to do over 10,000 acres of rice. Similarly, in Kisumu County, we are doing the Soin Koru Dam that will be able to double production in Ahero, West Kano, Southwest Kano. We do not have to get rice from China or Pakistan or saying.
But sadly, we are still doing that.
In the coming 3-4 years, once we've done all these dams, we will double our production, we'll triple our water harvesting and storage authority, and this is where our focus is. At the coast, we're doing Mwache Dam. In Ukambani, we are soon going to launch Thwake Dam. What will Thwake Dam do? We will be bringing another 100,000 acres under irrigation. We can be able to turn Ukambani into the new breadbasket of Kenya. Instead of me taking relief food there, we want to take food from Ukambani
and
to
we cannot wait for that. And
no,
we hope that will happen.
We are doing it.
But sadly right now, we are still giving people food. Relief food.
Yes.
You've talked about water harvesting as a solution to this.
A strategy, yes.
A strategy.
Yes.
But I mean, if it works, you're saying just a third.
Yes.
If we just harvest a third, then we are good to go. How much cubic meters of water, for example, was harvested in the last rains?
I can tell you that the runoff that goes to the Indian Ocean, you are talking of billions of cubic meters of water that runs off to the ocean. We had an expert who told us, whenever I hear Kenyans saying they are water scarce country, and you compare Kenya with Israel, it becomes a joke, because sometimes the rains will fail. As we can see, the rain patterns have changed, but there will be days of saying when, after rains, there will be floods. where does this water go? I was going to Turkana once with the ambassador of the United States. We were going to launch a groundwater harvesting program under USAID. In the afternoon when we arrived, there was no rain. There hadn't been rain for months. By the time we were reaching the place where we were to launch the project, we were warned not to cross the Laga. It was dry, but in a matter of minutes, there was water running off and cutting us off from where we were going. Meaning, had we just dropped this water? Turkana, for the first time, we're doing a mega dam called Lowat. These will store water in Turkana, as we're doing in Pokot, in Radat Dam in Baringo, and all the other areas, including Wajir for the first time. We have Butte Dam coming up that will store this water. So let us increase our water harvesting and storage capacity.
But you are the water minister. You're the water minister during this period of drought. Yes. And that's why I'm asking you, for instance, because you talked about water harvesting again last year.
And we're doing it.
So do you know how much cubic meters was harvested? Did we harvest? Okay, did we harvest any water?
We did.
Towards the end of last year?
We did, but what we were able to finish were small dams and water pans. And that you are not talking of very huge storage capacity. When I entered the ministry, we were able to complete 700 of them. That gave us a storage capacity of almost 16 million liters. What we were able to do in the recent past, we did almost 400 to 500. But today, as I was moving across Tana River, through Ukambani, you can see the dry riverbeds. You can see the dry water pans. So we are saying we cannot continue doing the same thing and expect different results. So we must probably have to move from doing the small water pans to doing mega dams that can store water, even when the rains don't. Like in some areas of this country, you'll be surprised. They haven't seen rain for 2 years. Now with a mega dam, they are sustainable. We can store that water for livestock, for domestic use, and even for irrigation. This is where our focus is. And I can tell you, as we speak, construction of these dams, we have started in different parts of the country. Others are under procurement as we speak. And I believe that in another 4 years, we are going to increase our national water coverage from the current 60% to 80%. Now, many would not know this now until they get to see the dams, they get to see
because you promised, for example, because you promised, for example, the end of water rationing by this year. I think that's for Nairobi.
Yes, for Nairobi.
As a result of the positive impact of the Northern Collector Tunnel.
Yes, we are right on course. We are
when will that happen?
We're almost at 30% in terms of construction. And we're estimating that by June, we are going to get the tunnel to the first river, River Irati. Once we get the tunnel to River Irati, we will be able to inject and recharge in Ndakaini. Kenyans living in Nairobi will start feeling relief from June onwards. But we have other rivers, River Gakige, that we will be doing, River Maragua. This will come to us the end of the year and into next year. We expect that by 2019, the Northern Collector Tunnel should be completed. We'll bring in 140,000 liters of water daily into Nairobi. As we speak, we are going to redo the infrastructure in Nairobi to be able to get this water to areas that have no water. And we're not only looking at the Northern Collector Tunnel. Recently, I was in Kiambu County with Governor Waititu, Moses Kuria and the leadership, and we launched the Karimenu 2 project. This dam would inject more water into the Nairobi system, as well as serving Kiambu. Ruiru 2 dam, once it's done, these three will bring relief to Nairobi, and they'll make Nairobi water secure. Just the way we're looking at Mombasa, through Mwache and Mzima 2, as we speak, the 2 projects are underway. And we're looking at another 3 years for Mombasa to start feeling the relief, as well as Kwale County and Taita Taveta County, because of the 2 projects. All
right, I'll sample some feedback again. Somebody here says, good evening on Double 2. How do we talk about drought and no rains and are busy cutting down trees? Does no one see the connection? Professor Wangari Maathai worked so hard to tell us, but it seems it fell on deaf ears. Another person says, hello, I guess Kenyans are not creative enough. Hunger is not something to discuss at this century. We need to be creative enough. Let the CS, he or she actually says, let the CS take my number and seek advice, since we can get the solution. Again, many people talking about forests and all that, and how it is important to ensure that we have, or to how bad it is that our forest cover is diminishing by the day. Hi, Mr. Mohammed, why do you ask us about the government and the drought when all the heads of state were invited in Copenhagen for a talk on global climate change? What precautions were they told to take? Why come back to us? Does it mean they wasted taxpayers' money? Okay, on Twitter, I'll sample a few again. Shozi says, what happened to Galana, Kulalu, KFS, KWS security? All the CSS in charge should have been sent home. They never delivered. People are actually asking about how acreage we have on irrigation over the last 1 year.
Galana, yes.
Kibiot Christopher says, same cycle. Government says there's enough food. Minister claims there's a solid plan to harvest water and massive irrigation in the works. Nothing is done. Drought comes, people die. Red Cross appeals. Rain comes and wasted. Cycle begins again. Pathetic. I don't know how do you respond to that first.
I think Kenyans have every right to be cynical about what we're doing. But what I want to tell them is that in another 4 years, they're going to see what this government has put in place. Since independence, the number of dams we had done were just about 25 or so. This government is doing 60 new dams, and once these dams are done, the impact will be felt. And it will not be a matter of leaving it to the national government or the county government. I think every Kenyan, wherever they may live, must start thinking of what role can they play. When you see a river you have seen since your youth drying up, there must be something happening. Instead of cutting that tree, plant another tree. So it must take a change of attitude. It must take every Kenyan feeling responsible and knowing climate change is real. As the population is growing, the resources are decreasing, including water, forest cover. We must do something about it, all of us as Kenyans.
Finally then,
yes.
By when, or is there a time, but actually by when do you think weather patterns will not have an impact on the country's food security? That we won't be worried about this thing you call the terrible new normal, the droughts, because clearly, from the trends, they're here to stay.
They are here to stay, and the experts have told us we may have El Nino, we will get La Nina. We must prepare for this. Droughts will come with greater frequency and greater severity than before. So we must find ways of mitigating this, and we must find a way of working together. And as Minister in charge of devolution, I want to reach out to the county governments. When we're talking about the Big Four, food security is one of our top priorities. Now, most of the functions that form the Big Four agenda are really devolved functions. Whether you're talking agriculture, food production, it'll be done at the counties. Health, you're talking about housing and urban development. You're talking about manufacturing. When we are talking about reviving our textile industry, we need cotton. Areas that were growing cotton in Nyanza, Western, there were many ginneries. We must get them back to work. We must produce cotton from Turkana and other areas to revive these factories so that we are able to create employment. So what we want to tell Kenyans is that we must brace up for this challenge. And drought and floods are going to be here with us, but we must see how to overcome them.
Because you said
they are not insurmountable. They are not insurmountable.
Because you said you put a lot of measures. There's so many projects going on. That's why I'm asking you, by when do you think we won't care about weather patterns affecting food security?
I think most of the dams that I've talked about should be complete within another 4 to 5 years. We will feel the impact then. But we must in the meantime, we must start looking at climate change as a real and present danger to the scarce resources that we have. And we look at how we can work together.
All right.
Both at the individual level, in your home, please. Look at your compound. You can plant a tree. The government does not have to come and plant a tree for you. You can do it in your village, in your community, in your county, even as we're looking at the country.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa. We're asking you tonight, again, as the government manage the drought effectively. Keep talking to us. The hashtag is the big question on Twitter. Text us at 22422. We're back after this break.
Connected Farmer is a system that was brought to us by Safaricom. This Connected Farmer technology has enabled us to reach out to our members. I'm able to manage